All right, we are here with the one and only Clayton Banks from Silicon Harlem, CEO and founder. Clayton, how's the event been today?
Well, today it's really interesting. Today we have a theme for our conference, our Next Gen Tech conference, called Rethink Everything.
Okay.
Not everything, everything. Because we certainly know that very soon everyone's going to be connected and everything will be connected. So there's a whole new infrastructure that's going to be built, deployed, and sustained. And the question is, do we do that for equity? Do we do that so that everybody can benefit?
And in terms of Silicon Harlem, what role do you guys play in the New York startup ecosystem?
Well, one of the things that we find is in Upper Manhattan, where Harlem, of course, sits, there's a lack of digital literacy throughout all of the ecosystem, whether it's the educational ecosystem, whether it's the private sector, bringing resources in here, investment. All of that has been marginalized in a lot of ways over the years, and we decided that one way to address that was to bring technology and innovation into Harlem and create this ecosystem that essentially started with a meetup.
How has New York's startup ecosystem changed over the years, the last 5 or 10 years or so?
Well, there's a huge commitment, and what makes it work is that you have both the entrepreneurs, but also the city government, the state. You're also seeing the universities work more with private sector. You're seeing the community becoming more literate, so they want to be involved in the decisions. So it's made New York City, the biggest city in the country, essentially the most tech-enabled and tech-forward city in the country. Mm-hmm. And we've been able to use, if you will, Upper Manhattan as a community, as a platform. We're actually able to test.
Community as a platform, I love that term.
Yeah, well, it's my term.
So
I'm copywriting that, bro.
Copyright now, anyways.
So, you know,
tag you on that one.
But the whole point is that if we can bring advanced technology and research into our community, then you start to mitigate the fact that some people might trail behind in technology. We can actually lead in technology and perhaps never trail again.
How do you do that without leaving anyone behind in terms of the community as a platform? What sort of infrastructure do you have to establish to make sure that everyone is part of this digital revolution?
Well, it starts with knowing your community. Right? So in Harlem, we know why there's a check cashing place on every other corner. A lot of people don't know sort of the reason for that, but we understand what that means.
What does that mean?
Well, it means a couple of things. One of them is a generational behavior. Another is there's financial literacy tied to it. But most importantly, when you walk into one of those places, you get exactly what you expect. Versus in some cases, you might go to a bank and you want to cash a check and they'll say, do you have an account here? You say no, and you got to go somewhere else.
In terms of New York startup ecosystem, what makes it unique and what do you think will establish as sort of a growing trend in maybe a vertical, or has it got everything available to it?
Well, the critical components of an ecosystem, specifically a startup ecosystem and specifically a startup tech ecosystem, there are 5 key components. One is you have to establish a meetup culture, right? Where people can express themselves, perhaps even partner, connect, and really start to, sort of get involved in all of the aspects of entrepreneurialism. Second, you have to figure out how to create co-working spaces in your community so that people who are not fully financed can find a place to work with others and pull on resources that they may normally have to pay so much money for. So a co-working space allows people to come together. Third, you ought to really think about the relationships you have in your community. In Harlem particularly, a lot of people may not realize we have 14 colleges in Harlem. That's more than most states, including an Ivy League university like Columbia, one of the legendary public college universities called City College. So if you're not connecting with the academics, you're leaving a piece of the research and all the things that could pave the way for you behind. Number 4, obviously you want to try to attract investment into your community. I can take one train from Harlem to Wall Street, but that somehow or another the train doesn't go back up. So we understand that we have to present the sort of presentations and the sort of companies that will attract that investment. But a real ecosystem has investors in it. And finally, most importantly, in a lot of ways, with all the papers that get written and all the books that get written and all the speeches that are made and all the testimonies, if you don't inform the community of what's at stake, or if you don't inform the community as the opportunities that are ahead, then you will never be successful as an ecosystem. And what we do is we use this conference as a way to galvanize the community around all of this so that our ecosystem will actually sustain. And that's the key. Can you make something that is sustainable? And that's what we've been able to do.
Brilliant. So community as a platform. Clayton Banks, thank you so much. Keep doing the great job you're doing. Have a nice day. Stay tuned.